The lights went dark, the music stopped, and for a few seconds, an entire stadium in Brazil went completely silent. Then suddenly, Kendrick Lamar stepped forward and delivered a moment that fans are now calling one of the most chilling warnings the hip-hop industry has heard in years. What looked like just another performance quickly turned into something much bigger. A message that many believe was aimed directly at rivals, critics, and possibly even Drake himself. At first, the Brazil crowd thought they were about to witness a normal tour performance. The energy was already electric. Thousands of fans screaming every lyric, phones in the air, waiting for Kendrick's next move. But then something changed. The tone of the show shifted. Kendrick paused, looked out into the crowd, and delivered lines with a level of intensity that instantly had fans online asking the same question. Was this a warning to the entire industry? Clips from the performance spread across social media within minutes. Fans replayed the moment over and over, analyzing every word and every expression. Some believe Kendrick was sending a direct signal to the music industry, a reminder that he's still one of the most dangerous voices in hip-hop when it comes to competition and lyrical warfare. Others think the message was even more personal, tied to the ongoing tension between him and Drake that has been dominating headlines for months. The timing made the moment even more explosive. The rivalry between Kendrick and Drake has already reshaped the culture, with diss tracks, fan debates, and industry reactions constantly fueling the conversation. But this moment in Brazil felt different. It wasn't just music anymore. It felt like a declaration, and the crowd could feel it. As Kendrick delivered the performance, the stadium erupted in a way that felt less like a concert and more like a rally. Fans were shouting every lyric back at him, amplifying the intensity of the message. It was the kind of reaction that artists dream about, but it also showed just how powerful Kendrick's influence still is. What makes the moment even more fascinating is how quickly it turned into a global discussion. Within hours, clips of the Brazil show were circulating everywhere, with fans debating whether Kendrick was warning specific artists, the industry as a whole, or simply reminding everyone that is still a force nobody should underestimate. Because in hip-hop, moments like this matter. They shape narratives, they fuel rivalries, and sometimes they change the entire direction of the culture. And if that Brazil performance really was a warning, then the question everyone is asking right now is simple. Who exactly was Kendrick talking to? The moment didn't just happen out of nowhere. Long before Kendrick Lamar stepped onto that massive stage in Brazil, the atmosphere surrounding him had already been building with tension. Fans, critics, and industry insiders have been watching closely, especially after the heated cultural debate that had been surrounding Kendrick and Drake for months. Every move Kendrick made recently felt calculated. Every appearance seemed intentional. And when he finally arrived in Brazil for that performance, many believed something big was about to happen. They just didn't expect that moment. The stadium itself was already electric before Kendrick even appeared. Tens of thousands of fans packed into the venue, chanting his name and holding their phones high in the air. Brazil has always had a passionate hip-hop audience, but this night felt different. The anticipation was heavier. Social media had already been buzzing earlier that day with rumors that Kendrick might address the industry or even reference the ongoing tensions dominating hip-hop headlines. When the lights dimmed and the first sounds of the instrumental echoed across the stadium speakers, the crowd erupted instantly. But no one realized yet that the performance they were about to witness would quickly become one of the most talked about moments of the year. At first, everything looked like a normal tour stop. Kendrick moved across the stage with his usual intensity, delivering lyrics with the sharp precision that has defined his career for over a decade. Every bar landed with force, and the crowd responded by screaming the words right back at him. But halfway through the performance, the tone suddenly shifted. Kendrick slowed down. The music faded slightly, and for a brief moment, the entire stadium felt like it was holding its breath. That pause, that tiny break in the energy, is the exact moment fans online now say changed everything. Kendrick stepped toward the edge of the stage and looked out at the sea of fans. Cameras zoomed in, capturing every movement and expression. Instead of immediately jumping back into the song, he delivered a series of lines with a level of intensity that felt far more personal than performative. The crowd's reaction instantly shifted from excitement to shock. People weren't just dancing anymore, they were listening carefully, trying to catch every word. Within seconds, phones across the stadium were recording, knowing they might be witnessing something important. What made the moment even more powerful was Kendrick's delivery. His voice wasn't loud or aggressive in the typical performance sense. Instead, it was controlled, focused, almost surgical. The way he emphasized certain words made fans feel like the message was aimed somewhere beyond the stadium. And that's exactly why the internet exploded as soon as the clip started circulating. People weren't just watching a concert highlight, they were trying to decode a possible warning directed at the industry. Many fans quickly connected the moment back to the broader narrative dominating hip-hop right now. The ongoing discussions surrounding Kendrick and Drake have already reshaped how people view competition in rap. Every lyric, every performance, and every public appearance is now analyzed through the lens of that rivalry. So when Kendrick delivered lines that sounded like a declaration of dominance, the internet immediately interpreted them as another chapter in that larger story. Within minutes of the performance ending, clips of the Brazil moment flooded social media platforms. Fans began replaying the footage frame by frame, pointing out Kendrick's expressions, gestures, and even the way he paused between certain bars. Some believed the message was directed squarely at Drake, suggesting Kendrick was reminding the world that he's still the most dangerous lyricist in the game. Others argued that the warning was broader, aimed at the entire music industry, a statement that Kendrick refuses to play by the usual rules. Hip-hop commentators and influencers quickly joined the conversation. Reaction videos began appearing across YouTube and TikTok, with creators breaking down the lyrics and offering their own interpretations. Some analysts pointed out that Kendrick has always used live performances to amplify his messages. Unlike many artists who treat concerts purely as entertainment, Kendrick often treats the stage as an extension of his storytelling. That's why moments like this can feel so powerful, because they blur the line between music, commentary, and cultural statement. Meanwhile, fans who were actually inside the Brazil stadium described the atmosphere as almost surreal. According to people in the crowd, the energy shifted instantly when Kendrick delivered those lines. The cheering stopped for a moment, replaced by a kind of stunned silence as everyone processed what they had just heard. Then the roar returned, louder than before, as fans realized they might have just witnessed a historic moment in hip-hop. By the time the performance ended, the narrative had already taken shape online. Headlines began appearing across music blogs and social media feeds, asking the same question. Was Kendrick sending a warning to the entire industry? Or was this another direct shot in the ongoing battle with Drake? Regardless of the answer, one thing was clear. The Brazil show had instantly become more than just another concert stop. It had turned into a viral cultural moment, one that fans and analysts would continue dissecting for days. And as the clips continued spreading across the internet, the conversation only grew louder. Because if Kendrick really did deliver a warning that night, the real question now wasn't just what he meant. It was who exactly he meant it for. As the clips from the Brazil show kept spreading online, the conversation around Kendrick Lamar's performance only grew more intense. What started as a shocking concert moment quickly turned into a full-scale debate across the hip-hop world. Fans weren't just sharing the video anymore, they were analyzing it. Every word Kendrick delivered, every pause he took, and even the way he looked into the crowd became part of a massive online discussion. Within hours, social media timelines were flooded with theories. Some fans believed Kendrick's message was aimed directly at Drake, especially considering the intense rivalry that has been dominating hip-hop conversations. Over the past year, the tension between the two superstars has created one of the biggest competitive moments the genre has seen in decades. Diss tracks, subtle lyrical shots, and fan debates have kept the rivalry alive constantly. So when Kendrick delivered lines that sounded aggressive and calculated during that Brazil performance, many people immediately connected the dots. But others believed the message went even deeper than just one rivalry. They argued that Kendrick wasn't simply speaking to Drake, he was speaking to the entire industry. For years, Kendrick has built a reputation for challenging the system around him. His music often criticizes fame, power structures, and the pressures placed on artists by labels and corporations. Because of that history, some fans think the Brazil moment was Kendrick reminding everyone that he refuses to conform to the industry's expectations. What made the performance even more mysterious was Kendrick's tone. He didn't shout the message like a typical diss. Instead, he delivered it with a calm, controlled intensity that felt almost more intimidating. Fans noticed how he slowed his delivery, emphasizing certain words while staring directly into the crowd. That type of performance style made the message feel deliberate, like it had been planned long before the concert even began. Meanwhile, fans who attended the show in person began sharing their experiences online. Many of them described the moment as something that felt bigger than a typical performance. According to people in the stadium, the energy changed instantly once Kendrick delivered those lines. The crowd, which had been dancing and celebrating moments earlier, suddenly became completely focused on the stage. Thousands of people went quiet at the same time, trying to catch every word. Then, once the realization hit that something major had just been said, the cheering exploded again louder than ever. As the video continued circulating, hip-hop commentators started weighing in. Music analysts and podcast hosts began breaking down Kendrick's lyrics, trying to figure out exactly what he meant. Some argued that Kendrick was reminding the industry that he's still the most respected lyricist in the game. Others suggested that the message was a warning to artists who rely on popularity and numbers rather than lyrical skill. And that's where the conversation inevitably returned to Drake. For years, Drake has been known for dominating streaming numbers and global charts. His influence on modern hip-hop and pop culture is undeniable. But Kendrick's strength has always come from a different place: storytelling, lyrical complexity, and cultural impact. The contrast between their styles is exactly why their rivalry fascinates fans so much. Because in many ways, the debate isn't just about two artists anymore. It represents two different philosophies of success in hip-hop. One side focuses on massive reach and constant visibility. The other focuses on precision, artistry, and cultural weight. Kendrick's Brazil moment seemed to reinforce that difference in a powerful way. Another reason the performance became so viral was the setting itself. Brazil is one of the most passionate music markets in the world, and the crowd that night reflected that energy perfectly. The stadium was packed with fans who knew every lyric and responded to every moment with explosive enthusiasm. When Kendrick delivered his message, the reaction from the crowd made the moment feel even bigger. It wasn't just a statement. It was a statement amplified by tens of thousands of voices echoing back at him. Soon, major hip-hop pages and entertainment outlets started posting headlines about the moment. Articles and reaction videos appeared everywhere, asking whether Kendrick had just issued the most serious warning of the year. The speculation kept growing as more angles of the performance surfaced online. Each new clip seemed to reveal another small detail, a gesture, a pause, or a facial expression that fans hadn't noticed before. At the same time, neither Kendrick nor Drake responded publicly to the viral moment. That silence only made things more interesting. In hip-hop, silence can sometimes speak louder than words. Fans began wondering whether Kendrick intended the message to spark this exact level of conversation, or whether the internet had simply amplified the moment beyond what he expected. But regardless of the original intention, one thing had become undeniable. The Brazil performance had transformed into a defining cultural moment. What started as a concert highlight had evolved into a global discussion about competition, respect, and power within hip-hop. And as the debate kept spreading across social media, fans began asking a bigger question. If Kendrick's message really was a warning to the industry, then this Brazil moment might only be the beginning of something much larger. By the time the Brazil performance clips had been circulating for a full day, the moment had officially transformed into one of the biggest conversations in hip-hop. Fans weren't just watching the video anymore, they were dissecting it like investigators. Every lyric from Kendrick Lamar's performance was being replayed and analyzed, with people trying to determine whether his message was directed at Drake, the broader industry, or both. What made the situation even more fascinating was Kendrick's history of using subtlety instead of obvious attacks. Unlike many artists who rely on direct insults, Kendrick has built his reputation on layered storytelling and coded messages. His lyrics often carry multiple meanings, allowing listeners to interpret them in different ways depending on the context. That's exactly why the Brazil moment sparked so much debate. Some listeners heard it as a competitive rap statement. Others heard it as something much deeper, a reminder that Kendrick still sees himself as a guardian of hip-hop's core values. The discussion quickly expanded beyond just fans. Hip-hop journalists, producers, and former artists began sharing their thoughts about the performance. Many of them pointed out that Kendrick has always used live shows to communicate powerful messages. His concerts are rarely just about performing songs. Instead, they often feel like carefully designed experiences where every visual, lyric, and pause plays a role in telling a larger story. That's why people started wondering whether the Brazil moment had been planned weeks or even months in advance. Some analysts believe Kendrick intentionally chose Brazil for this moment because of the country's incredibly passionate fan base. Brazilian audiences are known for their energy and loyalty, often creating some of the loudest crowds in the world. By delivering such a powerful message in front of that kind of audience, Kendrick guaranteed that the moment would feel massive both inside the stadium and online afterward. The crowd's reaction, thousands of fans shouting and cheering at the same time, amplified the intensity of what he said. Meanwhile, discussions about Drake began heating up again. For years, Drake has dominated the global music industry through consistency and accessibility. His ability to release hit after hit has made him one of the most commercially successful artists in history. But Kendrick's approach has always been different. Instead of flooding the market with music, he focuses on carefully crafted projects that carry deeper themes and social commentary. That difference in style is exactly why fans constantly compare the two artists. Many fans argued that Kendrick's Brazil message sounded like a declaration that lyrical ability and cultural impact still matter more than streaming numbers. They interpreted his delivery as a warning to artists who prioritize commercial success over artistic depth. Others believe the message was directed specifically at Drake, suggesting Kendrick was reminding everyone that is still willing to compete at the highest level. The internet quickly split into two sides. One group believed Kendrick had just delivered the ultimate competitive statement, a reminder that is not backing down from anyone in the industry. The other group argued that fans were overanalyzing the moment and that Kendrick was simply expressing passion during a powerful performance. Regardless of which interpretation people believed, the debate itself kept the moment trending across social media platforms. Reaction videos began flooding YouTube and TikTok, with creators pausing the performance at specific moments to explain their theories. Some pointed out how Kendrick emphasized certain words, suggesting that those parts of the lyrics carried hidden meaning. Others focused on his body language, the way he looked into the crowd, the way he paused between lines, and the way the music briefly faded before he delivered the most intense bars. Fans who attended the show in person also continued sharing new details. Several of them described how Kendrick's stage presence felt unusually intense that night. According to people in the crowd, there was a moment where the entire stadium felt silent, as if everyone realized something important was happening at the same time. When the crowd erupted again afterward, it sounded more like a reaction to a declaration than a normal concert cheer. Another factor that made the moment so powerful was timing. The hip-hop industry has been going through a period of heavy competition and debate about what defines greatness. Streaming numbers dominate conversations, but many fans still value lyrical skill and storytelling. Kendrick's Brazil performance seemed to tap directly into that debate, reminding listeners why his voice still carries so much weight in the culture. Meanwhile, Drake's fans quickly defended him online, arguing that his influence on global music cannot be dismissed. They pointed out that Drake's ability to connect with audiences worldwide is part of what makes him such a dominant figure in modern hip-hop. That defense only fueled the conversation further, turning the Brazil performance into another chapter in the ongoing Kendrick versus Drake debate. What makes this moment so interesting is that neither artist had directly addressed it publicly. Kendrick didn't explain his message after the show, and Drake didn't respond to the viral clips. That silence created even more speculation. Fans began wondering whether Kendrick intended the message to trigger this exact reaction, or whether the internet simply amplified a powerful concert moment into something bigger. But regardless of the intention, the impact was undeniable. The Brazil show had become more than just a performance. It had turned into a global conversation about competition, respect, and influence in hip-hop. And as more footage continued appearing online, one thing became clear. The industry was watching closely. Because if Kendrick's words truly were a warning, then the next move in this story could shake the entire rap world. As the debates surrounding the Brazil performance continued to explode online, one thing became impossible to ignore. Kendrick Lamar had once again managed to control the narrative of the entire hip-hop conversation without releasing a new song. A single live moment on stage had turned into a global discussion about power, competition, and influence in rap. And the more people watched the footage, the more intense the speculation became. One of the biggest reasons the moment kept gaining attention was how deliberate Kendrick appeared during the performance. Fans noticed that the pause before he delivered those powerful lines felt almost theatrical, as if it had been carefully planned. The music dropped slightly, the lights dimmed, and Kendrick stepped forward in a way that forced the entire stadium to focus on him. For a few seconds, tens of thousands of fans went quiet, waiting to hear what he would say next. When the words finally came out, the delivery carried an unusual level of seriousness. Kendrick didn't perform the lines like a typical rap lyric. Instead, he spoke them with a calm but intense tone that made the message feel almost like a declaration. That moment is exactly what caused so many fans to interpret the performance as a warning rather than just another concert highlight. As the conversation spread, many hip-hop analysts started pointing out that Kendrick has always been extremely intentional with how he communicates messages through his music and performances. Throughout his career, he has used symbolism, layered lyrics, and powerful stage moments to send messages that go far beyond entertainment. Because of that history, it's not surprising that fans immediately assumed the Brazil performance had a deeper meaning behind it. Meanwhile, discussions about Drake inevitably returned to the center of the conversation. The rivalry between Kendrick and Drake has been one of the most fascinating competitive storylines in modern hip-hop. Both artists represent different styles, different strategies, and different approaches to success in the industry. Drake is known for his unmatched consistency and ability to dominate charts across multiple genres. Kendrick, on the other hand, has built his reputation on lyrical depth, storytelling, and cultural impact. Because of those differences, fans often frame the rivalry as a battle between two philosophies of hip-hop. One side values massive popularity and global reach. The other values artistic precision and cultural commentary. Kendrick's Brazil moment seemed to reinforce that contrast. The performance felt less like a traditional rap show and more like a statement about the kind of influence he believes matters most. Industry insiders also began paying attention to the viral moment. Music executives, producers, and journalists started discussing how a single concert clip had managed to dominate headlines across multiple countries. In an era where artists often rely on social media campaigns and promotional strategies to stay relevant, Kendrick had created a massive wave of attention simply through the power of a live performance. That type of cultural impact is rare. Many artists release new music and still struggle to generate the level of conversation that Kendrick created in just a few minutes on stage. It demonstrated how powerful his presence in the industry still is. Even without dropping a new album or diss track, he managed to shift the entire hip-hop conversation toward himself. Fans in Brazil continued sharing their personal experiences from the show, and their stories added even more depth to the moment. Several people described how the crowd's reaction changed instantly when Kendrick delivered the lines that everyone is now debating. According to fans in the stadium, it felt like the audience collectively realized that something important was happening. The cheering temporarily turned into stunned silence, followed by an even louder eruption once the crowd processed the message. The international aspect of the moment also made it more significant. Hip-hop has become a global culture, and performances outside the United States now play a major role in shaping the genre's narrative. By delivering such a powerful moment in Brazil, Kendrick reminded everyone that his influence extends far beyond American audiences. The clip didn't just trend in one country, it spread across the world within hours. Another interesting part of the conversation was the silence from both artists involved. Neither Kendrick nor Drake responded publicly to the viral moment, which only fueled speculation. Fans began wondering whether Drake might address the situation through music, interviews, or social media. Others believe Kendrick intentionally left the message open-ended so that the industry would keep debating its meaning. That silence created a strange tension across the hip-hop world. Artists, commentators, and fans all waited to see if the Brazil moment would lead to another chapter in the ongoing competitive storyline between the two superstars. Because in hip-hop history, moments like this often serve as the beginning of something bigger. At the same time, many fans argue that Kendrick's message might not be aimed at just one person. Some believe he was reminding the entire industry that lyrical excellence and authenticity still matter. In a time when streaming numbers and viral trends dominate the conversation, Kendrick's performance felt like a reminder that hip-hop is still rooted in powerful storytelling and fearless expression. As the days passed and the video continued circulating online, the Brazil performance started being described as one of the most intense live moments of the year. Not because of flashy visuals or dramatic stage effects, but because of the message behind it. And that's exactly why the hip-hop world is still talking about it. Because if Kendrick really meant what fans think he meant that night, then the Brazil show wasn't just a performance. It was a warning. And the industry may still be trying to figure out who that warning was meant for. By the time several days had passed since the Brazil concert, the moment had grown into something far bigger than anyone initially expected. What started as a powerful live performance from Kendrick Lamar had evolved into one of the most analyzed hip-hop moments of the year. Fans, journalists, artists, and critics were all asking the same question. Was that Brazil performance simply a passionate moment on stage, or was Kendrick sending a serious warning to the entire music industry? The more people watched the footage, the more the performance seemed intentional. Every detail, from the timing of Kendrick's pause to the calm intensity in his voice, felt carefully delivered. Fans began pointing out how Kendrick didn't rush the moment. Instead, he slowed everything down, forcing the crowd to listen. In a world where concerts are usually full of non-stop energy and movement, that pause created tension. And in that silence, Kendrick delivered words that many fans interpreted as a declaration of dominance. What made the moment even more powerful was the crowd's reaction. The Brazilian audience responded instantly, shouting back the lyrics and erupting with energy. That kind of crowd participation amplified the message dramatically. Instead of feeling like one artist speaking, the moment suddenly felt like thousands of voices echoing the same message. When clips of that reaction began spreading online, the impact doubled. People watching from around the world could feel the intensity of the stadium through their screens. Of course, the conversation inevitably returned to Drake. For years, Drake has been one of the most dominant forces in music. His ability to consistently produce chart-topping songs has made him one of the most successful artists in modern history. But Kendrick has always represented a different kind of power in hip-hop, one built on storytelling, lyrical mastery, and cultural influence. Because of that contrast, fans constantly frame the relationship between Drake and Kendrick as a battle of two different approaches to success. Drake represents global reach, streaming dominance, and constant visibility. Kendrick represents precision, artistic depth, and carefully crafted moments that shake the culture. The Brazil performance felt like another reminder of that difference. Some fans believe Kendrick was reminding the industry that popularity alone doesn't define greatness. Others felt he was sending a competitive message directly to Drake, suggesting that the lyrical battle between them is far from over. And then there were fans who believed the warning wasn't aimed at any single artist at all. Instead, they saw it as Kendrick challenging the entire industry to raise its standards. The hip-hop world thrives on competition, and moments like this are what keep the culture alive. Throughout history, rap has been driven by artists pushing each other to be better. Rivalries have produced some of the most legendary songs and performances ever created. When fans watched Kendrick's Brazil moment, many felt like they were witnessing the beginning of another historic chapter. Another reason the performance resonated so strongly is Kendrick's reputation for authenticity. Throughout his career, he has built trust with his audience by speaking honestly about culture, power, and the pressures of fame. That authenticity gives his words extra weight. When Kendrick delivers a message on stage, fans tend to believe that he truly means it. Meanwhile, Drake's silence after the viral moment only added more intrigue to the situation. In the age of social media, where artists often respond instantly to trending topics, the lack of a public reaction made fans even more curious. Some believe Drake was choosing to ignore the speculation entirely. Others wondered if he might respond through music instead of words. That possibility alone kept the conversation alive. Fans started speculating about future releases, potential diss tracks, or even surprise performances. Because in hip-hop, silence often builds anticipation. And anticipation can sometimes lead to explosive moments when artists finally respond. But regardless of whether the message was directed at Drake or the broader industry, Kendrick's Brazil performance achieved something rare. It reminded everyone that live hip-hop still has the power to create unforgettable cultural moments. In an era dominated by digital streams and online trends, Kendrick proved that a single moment on stage can still shake the entire conversation. Artists across the industry were undoubtedly watching. Young rappers, established stars, producers, and executives all saw how quickly that moment spread across the world. It showed that authenticity and powerful delivery can sometimes create more impact than even the biggest marketing campaign. And that's why the Brazil performance continues to be discussed. Because moments like this don't just entertain audiences, they challenge the industry itself. They remind artists that hip-hop has always been about expression, competition, and fearless storytelling. Whether Kendrick intended to send a warning or simply delivered an incredibly intense performance, one thing is clear. The message reached far beyond the stadium in Brazil. It reached the entire hip-hop world. And now the industry is watching closely, waiting to see what happens next. So after everything that happened at that Brazil show, the big question still remains. What did Kendrick Lamar really mean? Was it a warning to the entire music industry, or a direct message to Drake and anyone else watching? One thing is clear. The hip-hop world felt the impact immediately, and fans are still debating every second of that moment. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Kendrick was sending a serious message to Drake? Or was he speaking to the whole industry about competition and respect in rap? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's talk about it. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next viral hip-hop story. The rap world moves fast, and the next big moment could happen at any time.